take this out of here for a bit. I'm going to go through, you know how to calculate a chart, but I'm going to do a quick review of this now to go over it. So that's the Saturn cycle. Now we have all the other planets, and all the other planets are still going on against the background of Saturn. If you understand Saturn, your Jupiter is wise. You can guide your actions properly. But even then, there's disruptions from Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and other planets that come, and there's other Saturn aspects. And why aren't we including them? They're important too. Yeah, they're important, but they can be put in proper perspective. So we use something, this is our next graph we have to get together. Simple little graph. It's an 8-year graph. If you look at it, you see going down the left-hand side, you'll see the year, the month, and beside that, so on the year, at the top of the year, you write the year in. So there's 4 blocks for 4 years to go across here. And each year, there's a space for each month, January, February to December. So you have the year by months set up, the calendar. Then looking down the left-hand side or the right-hand side, you see there's a whole section for Pluto. Then there's a whole section for Neptune, then for Uranus and for Saturn. So this is the influences of these 4 planets through these months and through these years. And below it, it goes again, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and the year and month at the bottom, but that's for 4 more years. So when I'm doing a consultation, I'm doing 4 years back and 4 years forward. To be able to understand where someone is in time now, you have to look at where they're coming from the last 4 years. You have to see, really, you have to look at the last 30 years or the whole lifetime up to now, but this is critical awareness to know what's immediately happening last 4 years, what's building up in the next 4, to get a time perspective of the critical aspects going on. I mean, most astrologers, they just do a chart for a moment, and they're comparing every planet in that chart and the transit chart to every planet in the natal chart. And they get so much information, there's so much to talk about, and they can talk about everything that's going on, but they don't have a sense of knowing which is more important than which. And there starts to be too much information to ever communicate to someone. So you get lost in all the details. So unfortunately, there's an expression, bullshit baffles brains. So someone can talk and talk and talk and be talking to someone. You can spend 2 hours talking to someone about their chart, and you're not seeing if they're listening to see if they're relating to what you have to say. You're trying to prove what you know rather than use what you know to make it useful to what the person needs to hear and needs to apply. So you're always going to learn more from a chart when you do it than the other person is going to get from you. But that's your prep work. You do that in advance, you learn about it, you see it, and you cut it down, you narrow it down till you get the main core things that they need to know. So this 8-year graph is invaluable, and we're going to have to fill this in. So, okay, so let's just, but when we're calculating this, there's a couple of ways to calculate it. You have the 200-year ephemeris, which I gave you, and it gives you each year. Seems a little fuzzy, but anyways, this is just the take on this. But on the left, there's each planet, each month coming down. Well, each little square is a year. So here it goes, from the left, it goes 2000, 2001, down to 2002, 2003, 2004 on the first column on the left-hand side. The second column goes from 2005 down to 2009. The third, 2010 to 2014, and the fourth, 2015 to 2019. So this, in one page, we can see 20 years of transits. Wow, that saves you from looking through an awful lot of pages in an ephemeris. This is before computer stuff, right? But sometimes you can be faster using this than having to go to computer, enter the chart, do everything, run them up, get all it. Sometimes you can use, I always have this with me when I try. I made this booklet myself, and I've used it. I've carried it with me for 30 years since I've done it. And so on this chart, you can see we've marked, there's a light blue mark, a teal blue mark from marking 2013, 2014, 15, and 16. Then there's a kind of lavender mark marking 2017, 18, 19, and 2020, because the calculations were set for those 2013 to 2020. And on this one, you'll see, okay, 1 second, there's one more thing I want to add here. Where are we? Okay. That one. Here we are. Okay. So I want to just so really when we did the sun chart, we made the list of planets in order by the sign, like by degrees, 0 to 30 degrees, regardless of the sign. So any planet goes to a sign, we can see if Pluto enters Capricorn, it's going to hit 0 degrees, not 30 degrees, not a big aspect. Make a sextile to Jupiter, make a trine to Venus, to the ascendant. It'll make 150 to the Leo. It'll make a square to the Neptune, to go through each of its aspects. So in this case, the 19 degrees 49 moon and the 23:18 Libra sun, these are the two factors that are going to be hit over this 8-year period in my chart. So here's the beginning of marking it. You're seeing, and this is just it's the degree within a degree. If it says here, like if we look at December 2013, January 2013, it's January 1st. Pluto's at 9 degrees Capricorn. This means it's between 8 degrees 30 minutes and 9 degrees 30 minutes of Capricorn. It's in that, within that degree. Okay, so within that half a degree, they're rounded off. But that's close enough for knowing transits. So as we're going through 2019, there's no aspect. 2014, 2015. It's only when you get to 2017 that Pluto gets to 18, 19, 19, 19, 19, 19, 18 degrees. So in that period from February to July that's marked, I have the square. I just mark a red line there. It's the square. It's the opposition to my moon. Then it came back, it lifts off, comes back in December, and all the way through 2018, right up to now, the beginning of this class, it's just the end of Pluto opposing my moon. And then in 2019, it's there. It doesn't hit exactly, but it goes on to square my sun from March to July. So I just marked them in to show you that you wouldn't mark them in. You'd see them there and you mark them in on the graph. Okay, so from here, then it went up to 2020. So I did the 8 years using this graph. But then here's the graph. Here's my year graph. I put in my birth date. I put in the date I'm doing this for, when I was doing this for. There's 2013, 2014, 15, 16, the 4 years before. Then 2017, I'm doing this for 2016. So then I put 20, I'm looking ahead. I put all my Pluto aspects. I just draw a line in for the time periods that we just saw. And I write the aspect on top that squares the moon from February to June of 2013, or opposes the moon. Then for the whole of 2018, it's opposing the moon. And then it squares my sun from March to July of 2019, and then January to March of 2020, and then from July to December of 2020. So I have Pluto aspects these 4 years. Now I'm halfway through these 4 years. At the time, I was just still at the end of 2016. But in the end, there's been controversy with family. Like you'll see that these critical points will coincide with the struggles you're having in your life. I had troubles with my grandson who was on the streets, and just as a whole big long one through 2018, those struggles with my grandson were going on, and also adjusting to a new place to live and changing my life. But I also found out I was diabetic, and I had a whole health and diet adjustment during this time period. So this was a huge adjustment in my life. And now I'm just coming out of that, and then I got square to the sun. So you can see what's coming up for the year ahead, or for the 4 years ahead. So then you go back to the same thing, and on this graph, then I look at Neptune, and I see where the Neptune went. So when I'm doing this, let me just go in here again, and if I take my Neptune's at 855, but let me just pick up the graph with Neptune. Okay, so just pull this down, make this a little smaller. Okay, here's the graph with Neptune, and here's our calculation sheet. We'll make this a little smaller. Okay, so you'll see here, as we're going down 2013, 2014 from top to bottom in each of the columns on the ephemeris. But you see I marked in the Neptune, I just marked green for Neptune, so I marked in the months where Neptune is making a conjunction, square, or opposition to anything in my chart. Okay, so even here, even if there's a square or opposition to the ascendant, or those squares will come up here. to Venus, to Mercury, to anything, it's going to come up here. So in my case, here Neptune is going from 1 degree, it just went into Pisces, goes up to 5 degrees, goes down to 3 degrees, goes up to 6 to 7 degrees, 8 degrees, goes down to 5 degrees, it goes back and forth like this. And the first here, it's from 2013 and 2014, 2015 that I have the Neptune. So on the graph beside here, you see that I see, oh, there's the date, the first month, January 2013, I have a little line there. It squares my Venus. Then I have from April to September. I wrote in April to September from 2013, I drew a red line in there. So generally, yeah, so usually, sometimes planets pile up, but not, sometimes there's two and you put a second line in there, and Neptune's making 2 or 3 aspects and you put extra lines in here. But this is the case, it's usually like this. It's hitting my ascendant to 2013, 14 into 15. Okay, and this is, so Neptune's showing me I'm having confrontations at home, I'm having confusions or visions or delusions or whatever around emotions, around my identity, opposing my ascendant, and around relationships. Oh, it turns out that was whole build up to going to China and being back and forth in China through the last half of 2014 into 2015, and having to teach with the translator in other languages. It was so, but anyways, I put the lines in there. It organizes the times without having to look at the dates. You can see the dates really clearly without having to have all the numbers. So you have the same information. It's just organizing it a little bit better. Okay, so then we're going to go to, we do the same thing. We look down the column for Uranus, 5 Aries, 10 Aries, and we see in 2015, 16, and 17, Uranus is making aspects. It stays within that. So we've done the calculations before. I'm just showing, this is just a review to make this go in. So as we do this, then we pick up the